have you ever felt like what you are doing to reach your nutrition goals or fitness goals are not working for you? Do you feel like a failure or like what you're doing is just not matching with what you want to do or aligned? So I hear these things often and more, which I am going to talk a little bit about that too in today's episode. So, welcome to another episode in the Simple Nutrition Insights podcast. I am your host, Leonila Campos, registered dietitian. And so I think it's important to talk about these strong feelings that we get when we start something new, right? Or maybe a new plan or a new program, because our emotions play a huge role in how successful we are or how much we struggle. And so even though I am a dietitian and I see a variety of conditions, right, when clients come to see me, could be for a variety of reasons, right? To manage diabetes, to lower cholesterol, to manage blood pressure. But the majority of the clients that I serve come to me because of weight issues, right? Weight management. That could be either weight loss or weight gain. And so oftentimes they are coming to me as a last resort, right? And so what does that mean? That means that they've tried lots of things, right? Lots of diets, lots of plans, lots of maybe wild things that they are seeing on on social media or that they read or that someone tried it and they're like, you should try these. And so they're coming to me as the last resort, and because they just don't know what else to do, right? And so that in a sense makes me sad because I'm sure you've been struggling so much, right? You're to the point where you're like, I don't even know what to do anymore. And so that's great. You found me, and now let's work together and let's figure out what is happening. But I oftentimes do see a trend of my patients struggling with feeling like they are not doing enough, that they're a failure, that if for some reason, the first week went so well, and then the second week they're struggling so much, and they internalize that, right? To the point where they almost feel numb and they're not able to continue to work on these goals because they just feel like, what's the point, right? I already messed up. Like, nothing that I do is going to help me, right? And so I always like to create this rapport with my clients where they feel safe, where they feel that they can trust me and they can be super honest with me as to what is happening, because that's the only way we're going to be able to help each other, right? You're helping me by telling me what's happening, and then I can help you to create a better plan, right? Now, oftentimes, the reasons why we feel like a failure when we don't accomplish something specifically in terms of nutrition, if we're following a very restrictive meal plan or a very restrictive diet, it's because it is not individualized, right? It is not aligned with what is happening in our life, with how busy we are. It is not aligned with what happens day to day, or if maybe we have, on Sundays, we always go to brunch with a friend or a group of friends. And now we're on this diet, right? Now we're on this restrictive plan, and we don't get to experience that, right? Now, human connection, it's actually a need, right? When you look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, human connection, right, is one of them. And so if we eliminate that, right, we almost feel lonely, right? We're already in this process of, weight loss, let's say, and it feels like a lonely process, right? Nobody understands what's happening. Nobody understands, that you're wanting to have these goals, just you, right? So it feels lonely. And then you alienate yourself from going out with a friend or friends for brunch because you're on this diet, right? Or on this restrictive plan. And now it feels like I cannot even do that anymore, right? And so I think that in that sense, that is unhealthy, right? Because one, you're not getting that connection, right? And two, this is something that it wouldn't be sustainable, right? Long term. we're going to get to the point where we're like, I cannot do these, right? And so then what happens is now we feel like a failure, right? We feel like I cannot do anything right. And so then we get all these other strong emotions and we feel like there's no help for us. But why, right? The reason why is because we're following a plan that is not meant for us, right? It was not created for us, or it didn't take into account these things that we like to do, right? That we enjoy, such as going, to brunch with friends. And maybe let's say, okay, yep, I'm going to go to brunch with a friend or a friends. And, in your mind, you're talking to yourself, I will just have, the lowest calorie, whatever menu item that they serve there, right? And maybe you get there and there's not such a thing, right? So now what? Either you decide not to eat or you decide to eat, but then you're going to have these guilt feelings, right? And then we go back to having these really strong emotions, as opposed to going with the mindset of, I am going to enjoy my time and I am going to enjoy myself with my friends, because what matters is that connection, right? What matters is that I'm with them and we're talking, and this is like almost like self-therapy, right? Because I needed to talk to my friends. But other things can happen is, oh, maybe a friend wants to have a mimosa, right? Or wants to eat dessert with me or share dessert with me, right? So we have these conflicting feelings or emotions, right? That, oh my gosh, I want to follow this plan and because I want to reach my goals, but I also want to enjoy myself, right? I also want to have these connections. And it's either black or white, right? Like one extreme or the other extreme. Either I'm always in or I'm out, right? And plans, long-term and sustainability of plans are not like that, right? When you think about just how life is in general, it's like ups and downs, right? Even weight loss. Weight loss, oh my gosh, is never going to be just a straight shot, right? It's going to be up and down, right? There's some times that we might lose weight, and there's some times that we might not lose any weight, or we might gain some, right? But that is normal, right? But what has happened is that diet society, right? And industries that tell us you should lose weight and this is what you should follow, and it's always strict, right? We have that mindset already. And so if we see what's normal, what really is normal, right, in our minds, we see that as failure, right? And that is not the case. So I really want you to understand that, right? That if this is something that you're exploring, or this is something that you're currently doing, right, and you feel frustrated and you feel like I'm not living anymore, right? I'm just so focused on this plan. I'm just so focused on following these restrictions and like following this diet, and it's so overwhelming. And at the end of the week, I just don't want to do it, right? But then I also feel so guilty because I have this goal, right? And I want to accomplish it, and I feel tired, in different ways. I feel tired because maybe I'm not eating enough or I'm not eating balanced meals, but I also feel tired because that's all I think about, right? Could be those things too. And so what I suggest is assess what the plan that you're following, right? Take a look at how aligned it is with your goals, how aligned it is with your life, and how can you continue to implement it long term, right? If the answers to those questions are, wow, it doesn't align at all, or I don't see myself doing that forever, then I think you need to reconsider, right, what you're doing, because one, you could just be wasting your time, and number two, right, it is probably causing a lot of emotional issues, right? And if you feel guilty all the time because you're not able to follow it, then that is a problem, right? Because it's not only affecting how you eat, but it's also affecting how you feel on a daily basis. And so start there, right? Start with, okay, what are my goals, right? Maybe even break them down into like smaller goals, right? So that way you can create actionable steps that you can say, okay, I don't know, let's take an example. I noticed that I skip meals, right? And so then I skip breakfast and I skip lunch because diet society has told me that in order for me to lose weight, I have to not eat, right? Which is wrong. But at the end of the day, what happens is that I am extremely hungry, and like I can feel like I feel like I'm out of control, right? I cannot stop eating, and I continue to eat, and I eat bigger portions. Then let's reconsider skipping those meals, right? Because your body is telling you, hey, you haven't fed me for so many hours. I need some fuel, right? Because your body's still using energy, your body's still using calories, right? To function, to keep you, alive essentially. And so even if you have this really strong willpower to not eat during the day because perhaps you're so busy and so your mind is busy, but then you go home and that's where your environment is, that's where you feel safe, that's where nobody's judging you, that's where you can eat. And so your brain and your body knows that, right? They know that. And what happens is like you almost feel out of control, right? Because now we can eat. Now we can eat without judgment. And so what we have to do, right, is we have to change that, right, and fuel our bodies throughout the day, right, or not skip meals. So that way we get this sustainability of energy following what I've talked in the previous episodes, right, those balanced meals. And you will see that difference, right? You will see that difference of maybe not feeling extremely hungry at the end of the day, where you feel like, oh my gosh, I cannot stop eating, or feeling like I have cravings throughout the day, or I'm hungry all the time, right? I can imagine how hard that is to actually have those physical signs of hunger, and not eat, right? One, that's all you can think about, right? When is it going to be my next meal? I'm really hungry, right? I wish I could have something. But also your brain is struggling, right? Your brain uses 20% of your energy, right, to fuel up. And so you can concentrate, right? You can't really think because you're not fueling your body, you're not fueling your brain. And so that's what we can do, right? Let's start there. Let's fuel our bodies. And yes, we have these goals, right? We maybe have those goals of weight loss, but that doesn't mean that we have to stop eating completely, right? Or skip all meals. We just have to change things a little bit nutrition wise, right? We can make them more balanced, right? This is where as a dietitian I come in, and we look at how you eat, right? And we try to optimize it, and we try to um, help you fuel up without feeling so restrictive. Because again, one, when we see something as restrictive, right, it's really hard for our brains to be like, I don't want to do that, right? And we almost think about it nonstop. And so we were not thinking about eating bread, for example, every day. Now that we are in this diet, right, that says no bread, that's all we think about, right? Like bread, 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 bread. Um, and it's really hard to not want to eat it, especially obviously we have a home, because that's all we think about, right? And it's because of that restriction, as opposed to, oh, there's bread, okay, fine, if I want to have some, let's have some. But again, it's because we have these extremes, and we have what diet society has told us, or what maybe some really restrictive plans, or just diets in general have said, that in order for us to lose weight, we need to avoid, instead of seeing it, okay, that's the way that I work with my clients. Let's figure out how we can add more nutrition to your meals, right? To feel you're satiated and you're not hungry all the time, and you get energy, and you really nourish yourself all the way to a cellular level, right? And your body starts to feel better in general. But I think it's really important to, number one, feel that I don't want you to feel guilty, right? I don't want you to feel like you're a failure, because you're not, right? The plan is a failure, but not you, right? A plan should work for you, not the other way around. And so if you feel like that plan is, I don't know, that, yeah, I don't know how to explain that specifically, but if you feel like the plan should work for you, right, that's how it has to be. No, I'm going to work according to the plan, right? It has to be all the way around. You have to be able to feel that you're in control. You have to be able to feel like, hey, I can make these decisions. I can feel okay with what I'm choosing to eat, with how I'm choosing to eat, versus something telling you this is what you need to eat, right? Or you should only eat XYZ, right? Because then, one, we're not creating these healthy habits, right? We're not creating this healthy relationship with food. And so then what happens again, right, with our restriction and with eating something that is not on the list, right? We eat it, and then what happens? These rush of emotions, usually negative emotions, right? Perhaps at that moment when you're eating it, you feel happy, right? You feel like, oh my gosh, I haven't had this food in such a long time, and I really enjoy this food. But then what happens after that, right? All these negative emotions rush through, right? Because you're in this restrictive plan and you should be following it. And so I think it is really important to, again, number one, don't feel like a failure. Again, you're not a failure, right? That plan is not working for you, and that's okay, right? There are other ways to achieve your goals. There are other ways to figure out what is happening and maybe creating this individualized and customized plan that is going to work for you, right? That you can change and modify according to what is happening, right? If you're going to travel, or if you're going to, if you want to have brunch with friends, or I don't know, whatever it is that is happening in your life, right? That plan has to work for you. Because at the end of the day, what matters is how you feel, and what matters is what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, right? And that plan supports all that, right? And so, again, if the plan that you're following is not working for you, right, and you're having these feelings and you feel like a failure and you feel all these really negative emotions, then you need to reconsider, right, what you're doing. Because you deserve that, right? You deserve to feel good. You deserve to feel in control, and that you can eat the foods that you enjoy without feeling like I'm never going to have them. And when you do have them, it's like we don't know what to do, like a kid in like Candyland, right? It's like they go bananas. So we want to be able to steer away from that, right? We want to be able to enjoy food without feeling guilty, or without feeling like I'm going to have all these right now, and I swear I'm not going to have that anymore ever again, right? Those are extremes, and we know that that's not going to happen, right? Most likely, if it's a food that we really enjoy, most likely we're going to have it. We're going to have it more often. And so, okay, my friend, this is a short one. I just wanted to really talk about these things. I do see them often with my clients, right? They come to me feeling like they're broken, feeling like they are failures, or that what they're doing, it's not working, or that, they wish they could do it better, or they wish they could, not feel hungry all the time, or that they don't have control over their meals. But again, it's not them, right? It's not you. It's because the plan doesn't align with what you want, right? The plan it's not customized to your needs, essentially, right? So remember that, okay? I want you to go out there. I want you to feel like you're in control, and that you deserve better. Okay, that's it, my friend, for today. You take care. You have a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to stay safe and stay strong. I will see you in another episode. Bye-bye for now.